Okay, all right, so relatively, it looks like about half the room has been to at least a Birmingham AI meeting before, and the majority of you, actually, this is maybe your first time ever to a Birmingham Finance meeting. Just a quick overview of who Birmingham AI is. Our mission is to accelerate the adoption of artificial intelligence in Birmingham for all. We have a saying we like to say, we want AI to happen for you, not to you. So we're here to help try and make you an AI expert in whatever field you're in. And in this specific meeting, we want you to be an AI-first professional. So we're going to help you understand what that means and how to be an AI-first professional here in this meeting. We have other meetings which we'll detail at the end of the presentation today. We have a general meetup that's roughly about, I don't know, 400 people.
Too many people.
Too many people. It started as a lunch meeting between our two co-founders, and today, 2 years later, they fill out this room and another room. Almost 200 people registered just for this meeting today. Just looking at the room, we almost have 100 people right now. So that is awesome. But none of this would be possible without our sponsor, Warren Averett. So with that, I'm going to invite Larry Perkle to come up and talk a little bit about Warren Averett.
Try to get mic'd up here.
We have lots of mics.
I may just hold it. We'll just hold it.
Yes.
All right. I got both microphones. So you might have noticed this is my first Birmingham AI Finance Breakout session. So nice to meet everyone today. And I'm Larry Perkle. I'm with Warren Averett. I work with companies that are in the technology. In fact, I lead our technology and life science industry practice group for the firm. But like you guys, we help companies that are involved in AI, but we also are learning AI ourselves. And I would mention in the back of the room, we have Brittany Robertson, who leads our AI. It was really our AI expert inside the firm. Brittany, you might raise your hand just so everyone can know that you're here. And we also have Hanny Ackle from our firm as well, who leads our transaction advisory services department for our firm. We have a couple of slides here just to give you a little bit of background about the firm. Again, proud to be a supporter today. Oh, I'm in charge? Got it.
Yeah, we're just clicking.
Good, making sure everything's working. So you can see here, footprint of our firm. We're all throughout the Southeast, headquartered here in Birmingham, Alabama. Footprint all over Alabama, all over Georgia, and down into Florida. So a regional CPA firm and advisory firm helping clients not only in the Southeast, but really throughout the country and sometimes even throughout the world. And we offer a lot of solutions for AI companies or really businesses in general. We tried to list a few of these that might be relevant to folks who are either AI businesses or using AI inside of their business, such as IT consulting. I won't go through all of them, but technology and security solutions, cybersecurity services, business continuity, cloud solutions, business software, automation, and even artificial intelligence. The circle over here, or the wheel, or whatever you want to call it, really is just our depiction of what our firm offers. A lot of folks think of an accounting firm as really just that one pie piece that's, we call it traditional accounting in the top left there. We offer a lot of other services, a comprehensive suite of services to companies. Right now, we're probably more focused to this group on our technology solutions. So, and I've kind of recapped already what those involve. But again, Larry Perkle with Warren Averett, glad to be here supporting the group. Enjoy your meeting.
Thanks, Larry.
Thank you, Larry. Let's give Larry another good warm round of applause, our sponsor. Like I said, would not be possible for us to be doing this without our sponsors, and so we're very grateful to them. So Birmingham AI Finance, as I said, we want to create an inspiring community of AI-first professionals, financial professionals specifically. I'm Chip Kalousek. I am an AI-first financial professional. In my daytime job, I'm a senior investment strategist and just a general AI enthusiast and explorer. So I'm really excited to join you guys and kind of go through this journey of what it means to be AI-first professional. And today, what we're really going to highlight, one is I'm going to go through some updates. This is not me, by the way. I don't know. This is just interesting that this tweet popped up on my feed that if you're going to plan to give an update on AI, it's best to prepare an hour before. If you prepare any sooner, your content's likely to be out of date. So I'm going to attempt to give you an update on what's happened in AI and finance over the past month since we last met. And I did take this advice and prepare just within the last hour. So I'm not going to be able to touch on everything, but There's been some major updates, which we'll go through. And then Austin Senseman is going to join us, and he's going to really challenge us to go beyond Excel. So something that I would say everybody here is likely familiar with, maybe just by a raise of hands. How many people in the room use Excel? Okay, so everybody here in the room. How many of you would say you're an Excel genius? Okay, a couple. There's a couple Excel geniuses. And I don't know, how many people have used AI with Excel? Wow, okay, very few. And what has your experience been like with Excel, AI in Excel? Not good, not good. This is we love benchmarks here in AI. There's about a new one that comes out, it seems like, every other week. But this specific benchmark is trying to benchmark AI and its skills inside of spreadsheets in Excel. And this is from June of 2024. And you can see they're not good. So 20% accuracy on the best model was Copilot in Excel. We had a joke here for a long time that Copilot was the AI you did not want to use. And in this case, it was actually the one AI that was really excelling, no pun intended. So a year later, this is just the progress of how things move. This is what the accuracy results are like today. So still, we have improved by over 100%, but not quite hitting that mark. And I think that's a lot of experience that if you attempt to use Excel with AI, that you're going to experience is you're going to find that it's probably easier to do it the way that you've been doing it. And so that's why today, Austin's going to share and challenge you in some ways of how do we break out of Excel? Excel has been our golden child that we have all hung on to for so long. We have a lot of really technical or technical adjacent people here. And we think now is the time that you may be able to break out of Excel and start using code and become almost a junior code engineer. So, or a junior software engineer. So, hey Ross, I see you over there. That's what we're going to attempt to do. We want to challenge you guys to do that, and Austin's going to walk us through that. But in terms of updates, so the biggest update, or one of the biggest updates just within the last 24 hours is this headline here, is that OpenAI has hired 100 former bankers to start training its models. Essentially what they're doing is they're going to try and replace all entry-level analysts, associates with their AI. And so that goes back to this slide here is, one, they're trying to catch up. You can see ChatGPT's got an accuracy of roughly about 35%. So they're trying to catch up with other tools. But ultimately, I would anticipate a year from now, just the way progress is going, these tools are likely to eclipse human potential. So keep that in mind. And that's why we're all here today, is trying to equip you with these tools so that AI doesn't take your job. The other update I wanted to share was last month, we shared a little bit of a demo on Shortcut AI. I paid for the premium subscription. It was like $300 a month to just show you a little bit of the capabilities of what this tool can do. It's an AI-first spreadsheet tool built from the ground up. So it looks and functions almost identical to Excel. It can even, you can add it as an add-in to Excel if you want to continue to use your regular Excel interface. But it is, again, AI-first, built from the ground up. And as you had seen in that benchmark, it's currently the best AI Excel tool there is. This 2-minute video by Nico, the founder, does a really good job highlighting the benefits of this tool and what it's capable of. So I wanted to send it just a couple seconds to watch this video and show you guys that. And the reason I want to show you that is because they actually just released or announced that everybody gets 3 free prompts a day. So you actually don't have to pay for this tool if you want to just test it out. You can go to Shortcut or try shortcutai.com and try it for yourself. But let's just see kind of what this tool is capable of, which is currently the best AI Excel tool there is.
Hey, I'm Nico from Fundamental, and today we're launching an early preview of Shortcut, a superhuman Excel and spreadsheet agent. Shortcut's pretty good at Excel. In fact, it can solve the Excel and Financial Modeling World Cup championship cases 10 times faster than the human champions. Let's look at a couple examples. You'll notice Shortcut looks pretty familiar. It has near perfect feature parity with Excel. You can open up existing Excels and work from there, or you can export them. And of course, you can run formulas, but you can also one-shot most of your work and come back when it's done. Here is Shortcut solving one of the hardest problems in all of Excel, the Financial Modeling World Cup case that takes about an hour. I attach multiple PDFs, and I ask it to solve it using the existing model and to make a new sheet with the answers. Now, it actually uses the existing model the way you're supposed to and using real Excel formulas. So it fills out the net revenues, it then goes and starts to tackle costs and fills out the rest of the income statement. Then it starts tackling the balance sheet, and it realizes that the PP&E line item is messed up, and it just recursively solves its own mistakes. So it fixes the PP&E, fills out the rest of the balance sheet, and then it proceeds to the cash flow statement. Then it makes a new sheet for the answers. Shortcut completed this case in less than 10 minutes and in a single shot. Shortcut is also very strong at building complicated models from scratch. Here I asked it to build a multi-tab pro forma cap table for a post-Series A company. And it did this in a single shot in less than 10 minutes, something that takes professional lawyers up to a full day to get done correctly. Shortcut can clean, edit, and analyze data way faster than humans can. Here I've edited a 5,000 row CSV of all of the companies that have ever been through Y Combinator, and I asked it just for some deep insights. It charted it and it built dashboards that explain the data to me. And here it turns out the majority of companies are still active, they are B2B, but the consumer has a higher success rate. Until now, the 2 billion white-collar workers using Excel haven't really felt the wave of AI that's coming. Shortcut can already do 80% of human work on Excel, and it's only getting better. Our early preview is live now. Comment for an invite code, and I'll give you access.
So like I said, the cool thing about Shortcut AI right now, it is free for your first 3 prompts, if you just want to try it out. The other neat thing, if you do decide to pay for it, if you sign up, and the benefits of paying for the service is that you get, one, the security, so it has all the cybersecurity measures that you would want as a professional dealing with confidential information, but then also, if you were to share your invitation code with a friend, both you and your friend both get a discount for a couple of months. So highly encourage you guys to check out that tool and try it out. As I said, it is the currently the best AI in Excel tool there is at the moment. The other update I wanted to share is, if you didn't know, Excel has a new logo. They update the logo just about, it feels like once a year. So there is a new Excel logo if you haven't noticed that.
Totally new product.
It's basically a brand new product. It looks exactly the same. But no, what is new is it's Excel in your web browser. And why I bring this up, to get to Excel in your web browser, you're just going to go to excel.new, because Microsoft Excel now has its own Excel agent. And as you saw in that benchmark, it is actually pretty close to Shortcut AI's Excel agent. And so I wanted to go through briefly, how do you get access to that if you wanted to test this out and you're a regular Excel user. So you open a workbook by going to excel.new in your web browser. And you're going to go, you first have to add in the Excel Labs add-in. So go to Excel, you're going to search Excel Labs under your add-in, and then Excel Labs will be added there to your home ribbon. And from here, you're going to have a couple different tools that pop up. The first is a agent mode, which is just a regular chat prompt agent that is going to go directly into your Excel files, that you can say, hey, update this spreadsheet with this information, or hey, this morning I used it to create an entire spreadsheet net worth statement template that our team was trying to create. I simply just said, hey, I want a net worth statement with X, Y, and Z, and I want it to link to another tab that auto-populates with this information, and 5 minutes later, I had a brand new spreadsheet with all that information. So that's what the agent mode is, and what I would expect most of you to use. If you are a Excel genius, or you want to become an Excel genius, there is an advanced formula environment. I played around with this a little bit. It doesn't look all that different than if you were just write formulas in the Excel. You can save formulas that maybe you might want to reuse, but there is an advanced formula function. And then there's this Labs generative AI function that allows you to link your ChatGPT AI into Excel. I've not experimented with this. The API is paid, so just keep that in mind if that's something you experiment with. And then finally, if you're a Python user, you've always been able to write Python into cells, and this is just a IDE environment to write Python in Excel. So lots of cool features under that Excel Labs feature or functionality add-in. The other update, last month we shared how you can create spreadsheets with Claude. Within days after that, they announced Claude Sonnet 4.5, which allows all users to be able to now, all paid users to now be able to create files like spreadsheets, slides, and documents. So today, I'm not going to discuss too much more about Claude's updates. We're going to do a really deep dive on that. There's been a lot of updates just in the past month from Claude or Anthropic. And so just be aware again, though, that if you would like to create documents or files in Claude, you can do that. The other announcement is that's come in the past couple of weeks is Microsoft Copilot now has a partnership with Claude. So this is actually a pretty big deal. Copilot, Microsoft, they are entangled with ChatGPT or OpenAI. So Copilot primarily uses OpenAI's models, and this was an announcement that they're now partnering with Anthropic and Claude to incorporate some of their models. So the two companies do have strengths. One of Claude's strengths has been in spreadsheet modeling, and so anticipate those features possibly to be incorporated into Microsoft's Copilot if that's the AI of your choice or your company's preference. And then the other big announcement just a day ago was that if you came to our general meetup a couple weeks ago, we did a deep dive into AI-first web browsers, and of course, OpenAI has now announced that they have their own AI-first web browser called Atlas. This also means that although OpenAI has been very adamant that they're not going to be adding advertisements to their products, specifically the Chat AI product, this seems like a great opportunity to produce ad revenue. So found this pretty funny by whoever Chubby is, made a good comment there. And then how many financial professionals, financial advisors are in the room? So Origin is a personal AI first financial advisor. It's something that I'm in the financial wealth management industry. I personally have tested out just to kind of see what's on the horizon. Right now you can sign up for $1 for a year if that's something you want to check out, just see what that might look like. So those are all the updates I have, and now I'll go ahead and turn it over to Austin to give us a deep dive on Claude.
Cool. Thank you, Chip. All right, cool. I sort of missed the show of hands. Who's first ever time at a Birmingham AI event, like any Birmingham AI event? All right, cool. All right, thank you all for being here. This just started off as an idle curiosity a couple years ago, and I think we're going to have almost 800 people at our various events this month. So this is for the community, so thank you all for being here. I'm going to talk about Claude today. We spend a lot of time in the general meetup talking about ChatGPT. And if you ever stumbled into one of our engineering meetups, they talk a lot about Claude. And so I'm going to just go through it all today as much as I can. This is going to be like a toolbox talk is what I would say, meaning like here's a toolbox, there's a bunch of tools in it, I'm going to take them out one at a time, show you what they are, show you kind of what they do, and you're going to have problems that show up for you in your work, and you're going to think, oh, there's a tool for that maybe, right? I can't cover every use case out in the world. You know your own work the best. And so I hope as I'm talking, you're connecting some of the dots between the tool and the things that you do, okay? So a couple things that I believe and I think might be relevant for this group. I think Claude is probably the right choice for finance professionals. And you may already be thinking, I don't have access to Claude. I only have Copilot. So what I want to show you is what I think the best tool is and what it can do. Okay, I want you to sort of understand where the edge is. Every tool will catch up to where we are now. Every tool will be able to do all these things eventually. But I think this is the best tool. When we look at enterprise adoption, Claude has like 35% of enterprises. ChatGPT is somewhere in the 20s. Okay, I think there's this perception that OpenAI is ahead on every front. The challenge with OpenAI is they're trying to battle on every front, right? They do video, they do images, they're going to try to do everything, basically. And Claude the Anthropic team just doesn't have as much money, essentially, and so they're having to be a lot more focused. And they've focused on supporting business use cases better. That's what they're doing. And that's part of my rationale here. I'm going to talk about a subscription that costs somewhere between $30 and $100 a month today. And so let's just say it's $1,000 a year. I absolutely believe that for $1,000 a year, you can get $100,000 of value, okay, out of that. All right. And so getting 10x, getting 100x out of some of these subscriptions, I think is very reasonable. I think people aren't utilizing these tools fully. Okay, it's kind of like if you had a personal assistant, would you even know what to do with them? Right? They'd be like, hey, I need work, and you're like, I'm trying to do things, right? And so learning how to delegate is a challenge. All right, we're going to talk about that. Your job is a bundle of many, many tasks. Okay, some of them are very, very hard for AI to do. Some of them are much easier. I think we're going to try that one instead. You want to switch them? Yeah? Is it just not? Yeah. It's just like I really have to do this. I don't know if it's going to be much better. Can everybody at least hear me all right? All right, just no talking while I'm talking. Okay? All right, good. So I want to identify some of the tasks that are going to start being replaced and encourage you to start trying to replace them yourselves. Okay? And this is probably the most significant thing I want to say today. Claude Code is a tool that has been positioned for software engineers. Absolutely everybody should be using it. It is by far the most useful, advanced, interesting AI product that exists today. But it has been positioned in a way that regular people are like, that's not for me. And there are some intimidating things about it. But I think everybody should be using this tool. And so we're going to look at that. All right. This is GDP Val. So this is a new eval that OpenAI put out last month. And it's a bundle of 40 like really complicated real world tasks. And the way it's set up is it's an eval between a human and an AI. So a human will produce a result, an AI will produce a result, and then someone chooses which one they prefer. Like an expert in that area chooses which one they prefer. So 50% here means if we're over 50%, that means people are choosing the AI answer more than they're choosing the human answer. All right? So we're pretty close to this. And the person who's, I should say the person, the group in front here is Anthropic. By a lot, actually. And this is one of their older models. Okay? So I think this shows in a benchmark situation their commitment to actually solving real world work. GDP Val is a bundle of tasks that represents 5% of our economy. So this is essentially saying we're not terribly far away from having an AI that can handle single-digit percentage of the work that gets done every year. So this is not a trivial thing. Okay? So here's what we're going to talk about today. It's kind of a business case. All right? There's this fictional woman, Sarah. She's the new CFO of a company. She has 90 days, basically, to impress everybody. It's kind of a legacy situation. Her predecessor was there for a long time, didn't leave a lot of documentation, this kind of thing. All right? And so we're going to kind of follow along month 1, 2, 3, leading up to a board meeting. All right? And there's way more stuff in here than I can cover. So there's going to be some like choose your own adventure moments in here where I ask you guys, do you want to look at this or this? So crowd feedback will be encouraged. This absolutely could be like a half day or full day training, okay? And I'm wondering if Birmingham AI doesn't need to start doing some of that, okay? So here we go. So month 1, First 30 days, we're going to try to build credibility with the board. We want to learn about the industry that we're in, the competitive landscape. We get bombarded by documents. You have all these financials, board decks, strategic plans, all of this stuff that you need to digest and understand to get a sense of where are we going, this kind of thing. And then what are the goals, performance, actual drivers and blockers in the organization. Okay, so the first 30 days, she is going to be trying to get oriented and have some situational awareness. All right, and then she wants to communicate all of this back to the leadership team. So we're going to start off with some of the basic tools in Claude. I'm going to introduce products or features, kind of 1, 2, 3, and then we're going to go and demo them, right? Kind of 1 month at a time. And the 3 tools or features that I want you to understand in this segment are chat, which is what you already know, which is let's go have a conversation. Claude does have a set of research tools, and they also have a feature called projects. All right? And so we're going to look at these. So just to warm up, so we're going to read through these slides, right? And then we're going to come back and do them. Okay? So we're not just jumping back and forth a whole lot. So you can imagine this person showing up the first day and sitting at her desk and asking a question like this, right? Just general orientation. Now, you may be saying to yourself, this person just got hired to be an expert in doing this thing. Why are they asking something like this? Okay. People that are experts at a thing, I have found in my own areas of expertise, really like having a thought partner to talk about this stuff with. It improves, it's not a replacement for thinking. A conversation like this ends up being, helps people think clearer. The danger here is if you're not an expert actually and you ask these things, because then you get an answer and you have no idea if it's good or not, okay? So for an expert, this is actually the right kind of thing to be asking, sort of counterintuitively. All right, so we'll come and look at how something like this performs, all right? And then there was a need to do research on industry, market, all of this. All of the major LLM providers have a research tool, so it's deep research in ChatGPT, it's deep research in Gemini. This one is just simply called research. And so we'll look at this. You just got to know which button to click on. And here's the research that we're going to do. All right, so you're starting to get a little sense of what their business is. She has some challenges she already knows around closing the books at the end of the month, the revenue cycle, margins, things like this. Okay, so trying to get oriented. All right, so we'll look at this. And then we're also going to look at projects. So Gemini, ChatGPT also have this idea of projects. I think this is a hugely underutilized tool. A lot of people see a project and think, oh, this is just like a folder in a file system that I can put things in. That is part of what it does, right? It helps you be more organized. But it also brings a lot of context together in one place. Okay, the quality of the responses you get from these tools, we spent a lot of time talking about prompting in the last 2 years, and that's important. But I think we're realizing more importantly is the tools need all of the right context to have a good conversation with you. Like if I'm having a conversation about people and the AI doesn't know about my org chart or my job descriptions or people's personalities or people's performance reviews or people, you could go on and on and on, that's not going to be a very useful conversation. All right, so this is the idea of a project. Okay, you have custom GPTs and gems in the other tools that kind of function this way as well, a little differently, right? But they end up looking pretty similar. Okay. So we're going to do a couple things here. We're going to start building some context. So I have a document that has a lot of context around the company. We have some board reports, right, that I've put together. And we're going to start bringing this context into the project so that Sarah can start building her context about what's going on in the company. Okay? And then to end the week, okay, we're going to take the things that we've created We've only been here a week, right? And we're going to put together a quick little update for the leadership team. All right, it's kind of week 1. So let's go do some of these things. And let's hope that the demo gods have not cursed me in some way. All right, let's see.
Just want to know, we're going to do week 1 in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
We're doing a week's worth of work.
Sarah is an avid golfer. And that is, of course, what she prefers to be doing other than working. All right, let's go back and grab some of this. All right, so let's just get this thing warmed up. I'm just in Claude. This is, I think I have one of the higher subscription levels just because I use this thing a lot, but the features are the same, right? So in all these tools, they've gone down the path of mostly having all the same features at all the various levels. It's just how much of it do you get, right? It's like portion size. All right, so let's go ahead and get her started off. So you can imagine this being a conversation that you start and come back to quite a bit, okay? And by the way, this has no context about anything right now. This is a very wide open. I haven't told it anything about the company or what we are trying to accomplish, okay? I've just kind of said, I'm new in this position and here are the things I'm interested in. So this is one of these exercises where, as someone who's an expert in an area, can go really broad and kind of get a full sense of what the questions are and then start to pick things out that are interesting, okay? When I say these tools help me clarify my thinking, a big thing they do is to help me make sure I'm not missing things. It's like I know what's important, but it's nice to be able to see the full breadth of what I need to focus on before I dive into things. All right?
Austin,
yep.
What window are you in right now?
Where am I right now? I've signed into Claude in the web.
The browser.
Oh, this is Perplexity. Yeah. I've switched over to an AI browser.
What's the name of Perplexity's browser?
Comet. Yep. Yeah, we did a whole talk on that a couple weeks ago, which should be online at some point if people are interested. Okay, so I'm not going to go into the results of this, but you can see that this is an extremely thorough response, okay? All right? So let's look at research, all right? So I think actually before we do research, let's actually come and do the project piece because we can build a little bit of context before we go and do the research. So in Claude, we have projects. And let's just make a new one. Let's just call this context building. Now, if you have a Teams license, which is likely what you would have in your enterprise, you can have a shared project, which is really, really useful. Okay, and you can do this in ChatGPT now, I think. Meaning you load all this stuff in, and then anyone from your team can go and use it. It's extremely helpful. So here we are, we're in a project, the chat looks the same, there are a couple things that are different, okay? We have instructions up at the top, which are the instructions for this project whenever anybody signs in. So, right, we're not gonna do anything with that right now, okay? What we're gonna do is we're going to start adding in some of the context that we've put together. And now I just have to remember where I put stuff. All right, cool, here we go. Okay, cool. So let me show you what this looks like really quick so you know what we're doing. All right, so this is just a file that says everything about the company, all right? So it's like the history, all the different products that we sell, the structure, all the metrics, okay? And so from here, we can start to talk to the AI in a way where it has an enormous amount of context about what's going on. All right? That file, I don't have to add it to the chat. Okay, it's just part of the project now. So anytime anyone comes in here and talks, it knows that. So I build a lot of these for people because they're just instant value. So if you have a team of 4 people, it's like put all the information about all those 4 people in a project. And as their manager now, you have a place then to go and think through things about your team. And you can do that for all your direct reports. What would you recommend? I think Markdown is probably the best, but I think the difference in that and a PDF file is very minimal. Okay, so most things are in PDF, so we should just use PDF. All right, you'll see in a minute here, I use Claude Code to create a lot of this content. That was like my thought partner, and it creates all these Markdown files. So, okay. All right, so what's going on here? We gave it some context, and then it used that to then highlight things that we needed to focus on, okay? So you can imagine Sarah going to all of her direct reports and saying, hey, here's a little template. Can you fill this out for me about what you think's going on in the business, right? And taking all those and putting it in here and then talking to it and then go meeting with her direct reports, right? Now she can have a good conversation with them, okay? And we can keep building on this. So let's go and put some more data back into the project. I created fake board reports for the last 4 quarters. I say I, you know, my AI did that, okay? And now I can go and have a conversation about this. So here's this next prompt. I just uploaded a lot of documents, and I want to know 4 things. So what questions does the board have that aren't answered yet? Trends, patterns? If you were the new CFO, what would you want to know? And what's missing from all of this that is something that I should focus on? All right, so we're going to bring that. So it still has the original, it still has the original company context that we brought, okay? But now we can ask it more about the board meetings because it has all that in here. And that's now in here forever. So next quarter, when there's a new board meeting, I'm just going to take that one, and I'm going to stick that in here as well. All right, and it's going to keep building. Yeah, there is a limit. I want to say it's 25. If you run into a problem, you just take those 4 and you make them 1. You know, and then there's also a limit of size, but then that's pretty big. And if you run into that limit, Google's tool takes like 300 documents. So, okay, so you can see how pretty quickly we haven't even gone in and read all of these yet. Now, we did do this in a way where we can go back and look in the documents, all right? Hallucination is basically 0 when you are asking it to go look in documents and report on them, okay? Hallucination becomes a much bigger problem when you sort of get out into the web and you're asking more open-ended questions, all right? So I'm not saying it's 0. I'm not saying don't go check, okay? But you're in a much safer place when you're using AI to summarize and interact with documents, all right? Okay, so there's just tons of stuff in here, all right? It's a little bit hard to present this stuff because it produces the kind of information that I would need to sit down for 30 minutes and read, and look at, and ask questions about, okay? It's hard to get that in a presentation like this because, you know, I'm not going to sit here for 30 minutes and interact with this while y'all patiently watch me do that. And it's weird they can do, I mean, it just read 4 like pretty long documents and then spit it back out to me. Did that take 10 seconds, right? So we're talking about taking maybe hours of work and condensing it down to, there's still work to be done here. This did not take 10 or 15 seconds. The first part took 10 seconds. I probably now have 30 minutes, okay? But just reading them and getting through them and trying to synthesize it all is probably hours of work, right? Okay. So let's look at this. I want to do a research ask now. And so I want to go out on the internet at this point and learn about this industry. Okay? It kind of knows who we are now. So go out in the world and teach me. And there's a button in here, right down here at the bottom. There's one that says extended thinking. Okay? This is not research. Okay? This is just think more. All right? And it sounds subtle, but the research is important because it is a research agent. That means it is trained on how to do research. Create a research plan. It knows how to use the internet very well. It knows how to read a bunch of websites and synthesize them. Do I have enough information? It knows how to write a research report, right? It's been trained to do a specific thing, okay? That lives right here. All right? It also does not need to go look in all of my various things I have it connected to, okay? So I have turned on research now, and I'm going to hit go. Typically in these research requests, you might get a little bit of back and forth before it starts. I've been pretty clear about what I want, and so I expect it here to just start working. But if you give it a vague ask, it's going to go and work for, I've had some of these run for 30 or 40 minutes and read thousands of sources, okay? So before it goes and does that, it's going to try to get a little more clear about what you want. It's great when it works for 30 minutes, but if it's not what you want, it's very annoying because, right? If you haven't heard this data point, I'll reiterate it. On these deep research tools, let's see, Tim Berners-Lee, who's sort of the inventor of the internet, he got 20 of his PhD friends and he asked them to use, this was ChatGPT research, but it's the same kind of tool. Use this tool to create a research paper in your area of expertise. Okay, do that. So they did that. That takes like 10, 20 minutes kind of thing. He asked them, how long would it have taken you to write a paper of this quality yourself? And most people said 10 hours plus. Okay, so that's what we're talking here. Like going and reading 200, 300, 400 websites, synthesizing all that information, creating a good report, right, is a multi-day task. Okay, so we're talking about taking that and doing that in 10, 20, 30 minutes. All right? So we're going to have to come back to this, right, because this thing's going to go cook. All right? And when it's done, we're going to come and we're going to take everything that it's done up to this point, right, and we're going to ask for an update for the week. All right? So these are the tools that are in this initial toolbox. All right, we're going to skip ahead to week 2, okay? But what's in the toolbox for week 1? To be able to have a chat, to be able to start building the context in a durable way in a project, to be able to go really deep into a subject and do 10 plus hours of work in 10 or 15 minutes, okay? Hard to demo some of these things because this thing's just going to be cooking, all right? But these are tools that you should be using. So just show of hands, like who's used project or a project-like feature in a tool? Okay, pretty good. What about a research tool? Okay, pretty good. Probably like half the room. Okay, good. So there's a lot of uptake there. Absolutely no good excuse not to try one of these in the next month. Okay? Cool. All right, so month 1 is sort of about building context. Month 2 is about building the tools. So let's say she's in there now and she's gotten into all this stuff and she's like, wow, there's some things that need to be fixed. So a couple things. We want to build some tools that support the work. We want to understand the month-end close better. We could build some variance analysis. I'm going to introduce you to 3 ideas in Claude. The first is artifacts, which is kind of like a low-code, like no-code development experience. You can build apps, you can build presentations, things like that. We're going to show you the analysis tools. These things are top-notch. It's like a world-class analyst. And then we're briefly going to touch on connectors just so you know what they are. All right. So the first thing is artifacts. And here's the idea. We're going to use code. We're not going to write the code, but we're going to use code to create things. And this, I remember when I built my first prototype for my last startup, we paid somebody $20,000, and it took like 3 or 4 weeks to build our initial kind of mock-up of the product. I mean, you can do this in 10 minutes now. You really can. And it's better. It's better because in 10 minutes, then you can say, oh, well, how about this? How about this? How about this? How about this? You can get months worth of work done in a day, okay? And it doesn't cost $20,000. So you can compare this to tools like Lovable or Replit. The way it's implemented in Claude is a little different. But here we're going to use this to make just a basic checklist initially for the month-end close, which will just be a document, all right? And this is what this will look like. Now, this is a document, but you could also easily make this an app, right, that you could share with people. We'll look at that. And then it's also really good at making Excel templates, all right? So we're not going to be in Excel, right, but it'll produce something that then we can go and take to Excel very easily. So this is like, you know, we can do either one of these. And then we'll look at analysis. So really good analyst. You can take a picture of a graph and say, explain this. You can give it, you know, an enormous number of transactions in a CSV, and it can do very complex things. The way to think about it is it's like someone who knows everything about Python, which is largely a data, it's a general purpose coding language, but it's used for a lot of data analysis. Yeah, someone who basically knows everything about that tool, way more than anyone human. And so this really is a replacement for, you know, $100,000 a year plus people on a large number of jobs. Not the whole job, but a lot of tasks, okay? So we'll look at that. And we're just going to give it some transaction data we have and just ask it to pump through a few things, all right? Okay. And then I'm going to point out connectors. You saw them briefly when I was in there. You can see it's connected to Gmail, Calendar, all this kind of stuff. I just want to point that out, that those are in there and how they work, all right? IT departments are like a little uncomfortable with this, you know? It's like the Gmail stuff's already in the data center. Like, you know, hooking AI that's in the data center up to that other thing in the data center doesn't feel terribly problematic to me. But I still remember when people thought the computer in the basement was safer than the cloud. So we're past that. Okay, so let's look at some of this real quick. This thing is just still going. All right, cool. Let's look at artifacts. Okay. So when you create a new artifact in here, it's going to try to give you some general ideas. These all kind of lead back to the same place. So I'm just going to say start from scratch, and we are going to go do the month-end checklist. So let's see. All right. So she is going to need to make some kind of checklist for their month-end close. They don't have one yet. Okay, it's just sort of happening in the business. You know how this is. So this is something that certainly she is going to edit a lot. All right, this is not going to get to 100%, but you can see how this will get us to 80% pretty quickly. Okay, so you see this behavior a lot. For the last 2 years, I got in the habit of prompting, saying, hey, please ask me any questions before you actually do anything. That has actually just become part of the routine now, where it like tries to clarify things it doesn't know. Hugely helpful. In a demo environment, I'm just going to say, you decide. All right? All right, but this is where you would try to clarify things and get it right before we go and do the work. Okay? This is similar to the Canvas concept in ChatGPT, where we open up a document over here. Those features are very similar. So you can see it is building something in code. This is probably going to end up looking a lot like a document, okay? When this is done, we could easily say, hey, turn this into an interactive web app. Turn this into a website. Turn this into a poem. That's not going to be helpful. Okay, but I just want you to appreciate what's going on here. This is something this person could easily do, but getting to this first 80% might take 20 or 30 minutes, and we can get there in, I imagine this will be done in a minute. All right? I refer to AI a lot as like picking $100 bills up off the ground. People are looking for something that's going to save them $1 million, but there's so many things where it's like, oh, well, there's 15 minutes back. There's 30 minutes back, right? And I think that's where we are right now. It's not these like, I'm trying to hit a home run. It's just like showing up and getting on base, hitting singles like every day. And that adds up, and it's really significant. Okay, so here we are. Oh, it actually made something looks quite like an app. Okay, so importantly, in a Teams environment, in like the Teams Claude, you can share this with everybody. All right, so everybody can see this and look at it and use it. There is code that's running in the background here. Okay, it just kind of lives in Claude right now. We'll look at something in a minute where we might be able to boot it out and actually treat it like code. Okay. All right, let's jump over to analysis really quick. That's not what I want to do. We might as well do this in our project, right? You see how like doing this in the project is already better than doing it just a regular conversation because it just knows so much more. Why would I not go back to this place? We are going to ask it to do some analysis on some transaction data, which lives here. All right. So what customers bought what over a long period of time, all right? And some sense of, just some volume kind of information. Analysis mode is not something that you go and have to turn on, okay? It recognizes that that's what's going on, right? I'm in a data analysis situation. And you can see here. Now, Claude can be a little intimidating because you will find it writing code a lot. And there's this desire, I think, to sort of try to understand what it's doing. I would suggest you don't really worry about it terribly much, okay? Imagine you just have this genius person that works for you, and they just like get good results, you know? You don't need to know too much about what's going on, okay? So here we go. Humans are terrible at data analysis, okay? Without tools. Like if you look at a spreadsheet and there are more than like 10 lines on it, your brain goes blank. You can't look at 500 lines and understand anything about it, all right? So we have tools like Excel, okay, that we use. We now basically have someone who is an analyst who we can work with. Okay, that's the difference here. Like the tool kind of goes away. When Chip was talking about getting out of Excel, this person knows all the tools. We can just work with them, all right? So that's what it's going to be doing here. You can go further from this and say, hey, make presentations, right? On and on, okay? Who here does analytics work in ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini? I'm just curious, like show of hands. Sort of, right. Yeah, this is uncomfortable for us, a lot of us. You're like, I'm the analyst. Like I get paid a lot of money to be the analyst. I don't want this person doing the analysis work. Absolutely something everybody can try. If you have a business that has data, I'll just sort of let that, I think that's everybody. Try to use this to have a conversation about that data. I think you're going to be very surprised at the quality of what is produced.
So Austin, say I'm an analyst and I just can't let go of Excel.
Yeah.
Can we get an Excel output?
Yes. which we did last time, so I'm not going to click on it again for time's sake. You could absolutely say, yes, take all of this and create an Excel file, with all the charts and graphs and all that. Yeah, if that's the thing you need to show your boss to make it look like you did it. I guess. I'm sure that's not what you were asking, of course. But yeah. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So if we come back to this really quick, let's see if our research is good. This is where we started this? Yeah, it's good. So it's so it looked at 439 different sources across the internet, right? And it produced a piece of research, which is here. All right. So again, remember, this is something that likely would have taken a human 10 plus hours to do. We're not going to sit here and read it together right now. Okay. Google has that Notebook LM tool that makes podcasts. The best hack ever. Do the research, create a really long paper, give it to that thing, have it make a podcast, and just listen to it. It's really nice. I mean, I'm more of a reader. I learn best by reading. Okay, I don't really listen to podcasts. I'm like a little too ADD. But a lot of people do, and if that's your style, that's a really great way. Imagine someone making a podcast that was very detailed for something you really cared about. Okay? You can do that now. All right, great. So we have 5 minutes left, and the last thing I want to show you is Claude Code. All right? Before I do that, I do want to put this up on the screen right here. Nope. Yes. This is the QR code for next month. So I do like to just take a minute, just so you don't have to think about it again. I'm not offended if you don't have your phone out right now, but also, but just go ahead and sign up for next month if you're interested.
It's also on a Thursday. That's the comics.
Oh, so it's not that week. It's like the previous week, but on a Thursday. It's not on Thanksgiving.
Yes,
Okay.
next month, so on Wednesday, they're going to do the general meetup, and then the next day, Thursday, is going to be finance. So
Okay.
if you want to get,
Okay.
you want to double up on AI, that week.
No, you don't.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap this up really quick, and I'm going to just pull up Claude Code and show you. My number one thing for this next month is I'd like people to try Claude Code. And it's going to feel intimidating as hell. Okay? And so there are just some things, there's just some magical things about it that I want people to experience. I also want people to battle through that feeling of like, I'm not good at this or this is weird. Because I think that's just important in this moment that we're living in, to be willing to like go and try that, get way outside of your comfort zone. I think the fruits of that are very important right now. And you will just be right at the edge. All right, so we're going to look at that. So here's some things that she might want to do in month 3. We're going to do number 1. Okay, so set up a good process to clean and reconcile data. All right, that's the one we're going to do real quickly. By the way, you'll get a copy of this presentation. So this is a great link in here. This guy goes through 50 different use cases from non-engineers of ways people are using Claude Code. Okay? Very interesting. And this is the sentiment right here, too, is that non-developers aren't using this right now because it's like, oh, that's not for me. And if you go to the Claude Code website, it says for developers, for engineers, for hackers, for tinkerers. It does not say for normal people. Okay? But it is, and it runs on Sonnet 4.5, which Chip mentioned, which importantly, I think is the best coding model in the world right now. And so that's part of the magic is they said that Sonnet 4.5 worked on something for 30 hours. And so when you're in Claude, you're like, how would that, you're never going to be in Claude or ChatGPT and something's going to be working for 30 hours. That would not be cool, okay? But I've seen with, and I've never worked on something that long, but I've seen with it how if you give it a task that takes an hour or 2 hours, it will work for 2 hours on it, okay? It is very hungry, okay? So we're going to look at this really quick. We're going to give it some orders data, some shipment data, some invoices data, and we are going, and there's some other instructions in here, right? They're sort of in the middle. And we are going to ask it to do a bunch of this. And we want to write a script that when we get this data next month, we can just run the script again. Okay, so we're actually going to write a piece of code with this. There's a whole other customer profitability example that we won't get to. Okay. This is Cursor. Okay, you don't need to know what that is. You just need some kind of IDE or a development environment to run Claude Code in. The link that I gave you with all those use cases also has how to do this. Click on this, type in this, you're good to go, all right? But this is already set up on my computer, so I can come in here and type, let's get it going, wake up. So I just type in Claude to wake it up, and here we are. So Claude Code is a command line interface. It already has the files in here. You see, I put them in this folder that I'm working in. So I can take this, and here's the whole prompt, right? So here are the files. Here's what this script should do. Basically, I need to find things where there's an order, but we haven't shipped it, or maybe that we shipped it, but there's not an invoice, all right? And I want you to create a Python script that does all of this, all right? And so we're going to come in here. Okay, let me pull this up. All right, so this is kind of like having a chat in the Claude web. Okay, we're just in a very different looking interface. It has access to files over here. And there is a lot going on in the background here in this tool that's like magic. Just the way it thinks, the way it approaches problems, it can prioritize, it can make plans. It is just a very smart model. All right, so we're gonna let it cook for a second here. You may hear this term one-shot, like the guy said it in the Shortcut video. So there's this kind of idea of how many kind of turns does it take to get a problem right. And so it's impressive if a model can do it in a single shot, right? You don't have to go back and forth. And so it created this. It's called reconcile data. It's a little Python file. All right, so yep, we want to create that. It does a lot of like stop and go with you, like before it creates a file. You sure you want to do that, right? It feels very responsible when you're working with it. You notice it does have a sense of humor too as it's working. It's like dilly-dallying, like goofing off, this kind of thing. Okay. Okay, great. So it created it, and now it's asking us, do we want to run it? And we are going to say yes. I got a group of, and I'll finish up. Does everyone have just like a few more minutes? Okay. I got a group of startup CEOs together last summer, and we tried to use AI coding tools to build things, and we all failed. We were like non-technical people. Okay. You may think of me as a technical person. I'm not. I am a CFA charter holder, and I used to be an accountant. Okay, I'm like you. And so I started using these tools back then, and you would get trapped. You would have errors. The AI couldn't fix them. Right? It's just a miserable experience. The learning curve was too high. You still had to be an engineer to get value from the tools. That has changed. The tools still make errors, but they fix them, right, pretty quickly. You don't get lost. All right. So this is going to go on and on. A lot of what's going on here is like, I haven't installed some packages that I need, right? Things like that. It's going to become aware of that, and it is going to go fix it all. One tip, let me show you while we're in here. If you get to using this, if you hit this / command and you type output styles, these are like different kind of settings it has. There's an output style in here called learning. Okay? When you turn this on, when it's working with you, it teaches you stuff as you go. It's great. It's a great time to be learning how to do some of this kind of stuff. You don't really know how to code, but you can learn a lot about how code works while you're working with one of these tools. All right? So it's created this script. I can run it whenever I want now from here. So next month or like tomorrow, we get new orders, new shipments, new invoices. I can just run it again. I don't have that problem anymore, okay? So I really want to challenge people to use Claude Code. This is kind of my message for today. It's sort of the frame, and then I'll wrap it up. Is fictional scenario, like new CFO, they come in, they have 90 days. I kind of want to challenge you, like you go back to work and like today is like the first of your 90 days, right? Like put on those fresh eyes for the work you do. People aren't utilizing these tools to the fullest extent. You can pay $1,000 for something today and get $100,000 of value out of it. And most people just aren't doing that yet because it's just a different way of working. And it's not just doing the same things we've always done. So the best part of Claude Code and why I want people to use it is it's going to force you to do something very different. You are not going to be comfortable doing it. And most people in here are not going to do it. I don't know which one of you, but 25% of the people in here are going to do it. 75% of you are going to be like, this is not me. But that is where the puck is going. Okay, so I'm encouraging people to kind of skate in that direction. All right? All right. Oh, yeah, Chip wanted me to put in there, this in here as kind of a threat.
That's right. So
Yeah.
this is a conversation that Austin and I have been having for about a month because we were trying to figure out what to talk about. And I've really been struggling personally as a finance professional with AI and Excel. And if you objectively take a step back and look at the tools that we have today and the problems that we're trying to solve, arguably Excel is probably the worst tool. But it's the tool that we are all most familiar with. And so in our conversations between Austin and I, we kind of came to that agreement on that. And Austin is a little bit more technical than me. I am absolutely not technical, but I have been leaning in the Claude Code. So that's kind of where the genesis of this conversation started, is that we really, I think to be an AI first professional, finance professional going forward, you're going to have to lean into these AI coding tools, because if you go to the engineering meetup, they're spending an hour learning about how to not code. I'm being serious. They're really learning about, hey, how do we get AI to do the coding for us? And now that the coding has been democratized, everybody should be learning how to code, because it's just a table stakes skill at this point. So that's what AI code is, or not AI code. That is what Claude Code is. It's a really approachable way to start learning how to code. Whether you've always dreamed of learning Python or whatever the language is, that doesn't matter anymore. As Austin said, I think the challenge is to just go experiment and try and code your first project. And I think you're going to be surprised about how much you're able to accomplish. So we have a 2-question feedback survey here.
Yeah. And we're giving out some T-shirts.
We're giving out some T-shirts
for people that take
Will, do you have those? We would love your feedback. Like I said, it's 2 questions. 1 question is a scale of 1 to 10. Of course, we'd love a 10, but whatever the scores that you want to give, fill that out. And then the second question is just any feedback you want to share. And so if this message resonated with you today, one, we want to hear about that, and maybe that will help influence what future meetups are about, whether we lean more into this Claude Code, or just any other general feedback. If we get a lot of feedback that says, hey, we want to hear a lot more about Copilot, which we absolutely hear you say that. We are trying to push a little bit on the edge a little bit to say, yes, we know everybody's working Copilot, but I think objectively there are these other really great tools out here that we want you guys to be aware of. So be sure to fill out that survey. And how are we doing the shirt, Will?
I think, yeah. Oh, so
yeah, if you did not check in, you missed out on your T-shirt opportunity. But if you want to get in on that, you can just check in with Will as you leave.
Okay, I want to be mindful of people's time. Thank you all for being here today. We'll see you next month.